Welcome back to Hotel Interactive Radio. This is, of course, Editor-in-Chief Glenn Haussman here at the one, the only Hotel Interactive Network, and I want to thank you guys all for listening again to our extended series of interviews with the designers, suppliers, and purchasing pros taking part in HI Connect Design 2014. Of course, that event is going to be taking place April 2 through 4 in Nashville at the Gaylord Opryland Resort, and it is going to be an absolutely incredible event, better than our first 2 years. And I want to introduce my co-host, Mr. Mark Viola. How are you?
Hello, everybody. How are you today?
And of course, the subject of our great interview today, Ms. Gina Joyce, principal of Joyce Design Group, who will be doing a luxury vignette at HI Connect Design. How are you today?
Good, good. Thank you for having me.
I am very happy to have you here today. And you know, one of the things that I find very interesting is looking back on your past to see how you see the future. So, Gina, tell me a little bit about what was it about your childhood that pushed you to become a designer?
Well, we are sitting in the beautiful Hotel del Coronado, which is the childhood beach of mine. And so as a kid, eating a pizza on the beach, my dad was a naval aviator, so we would go to the beach very often and look up at the beach and just be mesmerized by this great building that was called a hotel. And so we thought all buildings were hotels at this size.
Right. Yes, of course, you know, we're taping this interview at the Hotel del Coronado, which is an absolutely spectacular hotel built in 1888, and I think really is one of the most historic properties in the entire United States, and you grew up right near it. So that must have been unusual.
Yeah, absolutely. We never met Kate Morgan in person. That's the ghost.
Yes. Unfortunately, I have. It was not a good evening. Yeah.
But the inspiration of this hotel carried through my career so far with several historical properties: Arizona Biltmore, Moana Surfrider, Omni Severin. And so it definitely is a passion of mine to see something that is old brought back to life. In this case, this hotel doesn't need to be brought back to life. It lives on its own.
Yeah, one of the things I think they've done a great job with at this hotel is keeping the historical essence while modernizing it for today's traveler. Yes?
Sure, absolutely. And the Victorian building was just newly renovated in the past several years, and it is a true complement to the Victorian era, done by another firm that I previously worked for. And I think that they did, like you said, bring out the essence of the historical nature of this property in the main building. And then when you go to the other buildings, Ocean Tower and California Cabana, they were add-ons, and so they have a little bit more of a reflective property of that era.
Right, and the Ocean Towers, I feel, was built in the early 1980s, I want to say.
Something, yeah.
So it feels very different, but unfortunately I have a room in the original tower, and it's absolutely beautiful.
It's amazing.
Absolutely stunning, right? So, you know, Gina, then I had to ask, you know, how do you retain the essence of a property while bringing it to the standards of today's modern luxury traveler?
Well, I believe that our design team comes together, and we literally love to pay homage is one of our favorite words to exploit, and then giving it a 2013 per se curve to it, deleting some details, adding some details, reflecting on the materials that might have been used at the original time, and looking at how materials like that are used in current day.
That's interesting. So how do you go about doing that? Because I can't imagine the materials that were in 1886, 87 when they were building this place are practically relevant to today or even available.
Well, I think as you see, everything is cyclic, and so history repeats itself both in architecture and design. And so you have some classical architectural features, you have classic design features from, you know, those eras, and it might be stylizing them to fit the bill of what we're trying to accomplish here. Clean it up, if you will, not so goopy.
Right, Mark, what do you like about these old school luxury hotels?
I just love, again, that they kind of keep the old flair to kind of a newly renovated property. I love that aspect of it. I mean, I just love coming to this property. It's just so amazing in so many different aspects. The way they all come together just amazes me. So.
Yeah, my room feels brand new, and I feel like if I'm in the room, I could not tell that I was in a historic structure.
You'll have a creak to your floor.
Yes.
In your specific building, absolutely.
Yes, I do. Usually just the ghost of Kate.
Yeah,
you know,
there you go.
summoning me, waiting for her estranged lover to show up, which is that's a story that goes.
No, no,
she,
I know, I
yeah.
know. No,
Well,
I know.
I'm saying this now not for you, Mark, because I know you know everything there
I
is
know
to
the whole
but
story,
for
right?
the listeners, apparently this guy was supposed to show up. She never did. He never did. She got so sad she offed herself. Right? Yeah. Not a very pleasant.
Sad is the news, but then again, she's written in every little piece of paperwork that's sitting on your desk
Yes.
to give a little, it's the top 10 things to do while you're here.
And if I were her, I would lawyer up and see about getting some, points on this
Seriously.
hotel. Because, right?
See, I don't know if I saw her last night or I just had too much to drink, but I don't know. I'm sure I'll figure that out.
I'm going to say maybe a little bit of both there for you, Mark.
Thank you,
Right.
thank you.
Yeah, All right, so, Gina, luxury hotels, what are some of the projects that you've seen that have inspired you throughout your life?
Well, right now I'm a big Anthony Melchiorri fan, and of course that's the Algonquin Hotel in New York. Can't get enough of
Hotel Impossible?
yes.
Yeah, Glenn
Yes.
and I had the pleasure to interview him last
Really?
year. Oh, yeah.
Yes, and for
Very interesting gentleman. I loved him, though. He was a good guy.
yeah, and for those of you
Very good guy.
listening, you can listen to it on Hotel Interactive Radio. Just go back to June of 2012, and you'll
Excellent.
hear our interview. It was a lot of fun because he really talked about how the TV series was created and the things that he goes through. And we even had one of his, hotel project people on the show
Yeah.
as well.
Very cool.
My husband will sit there and tell me, you can do a better job than Blanche Garcia, but I admire her, and I admire the show, and I admire his very direct presentation of people who have requested their constructive criticism. But the point is that he has a level of care, a standard of care, that he goes in with the eagle eye, and it is the curse, but also the blessing for a designer.
Right. I think for people like you, it's perfect. For the poor owners of the hotel, I don't think that necessarily they know what's going to hit them and they're not ready for absolute truths.
No, absolutely not. And we just walked a property in Boston. It has a lot of history, and the client is very open to hearing what we have to say. And I said to him, I'm going to go a little Hotel Impossible on you. And here's the story. You're missing a story. You are missing, not even from an aspect of just interior design. We spoke about you could be doing this in a marketing sense, and that's how we got the job, because we tend to think 360. We don't just think about fabrics and furniture. We think about how to get their brand noticed, just like Anthony Melchiorri would. Get them out there, get them the business, and build upon their clientele that currently visits there, which, if you know the story, it's somewhat limited, but it doesn't have to be.
All right, so how do you express that then through
Very
design?
directly, and I think that the Lord has given me a great personality that half the people either take me serious or they just laugh at me.
I know that feeling, except 100% of people just laugh at poor old me. Right, Mark?
Agreed. Totally agreed.
Right, Mark actually, when we're in our offices, Mark actually comes by my office every morning and just points and laughs for a half an hour straight.
He needs
at me.
it. Somebody's got to keep him on his toes. Somebody's got to do it.
That's
Might
true.
as well be me.
All right, so, when you're dealing with these luxury products and trying to renovate them to modern standards, how do you handle budgetary issues? Because I'm sure owners are surprised by how much it might actually cost.
I think because we go into it with we honestly do. We go into it thinking you might be sitting in a 5-star hotel, but the budget isn't always a 5-star budget. We go into every single one of our properties with a mid-scale budget in mind. And so we start off the project with a round of research and scheming for the design at a mid-scale level, and let the client decide whether or not he wants to pump it up a notch.
That's interesting, because a lot of designers that I've spoken to load it up and expect things to get cut. So they'll put in like their blue sky dreaming.
Legwork at first. You're going to retrace your steps. Luxury has been redefined since the economy has fallen and now growing again. And the thing is that the full service property is where most people want to stay, but they find themselves at a mid-scale property expecting full service amenities. And so today a luxury nowadays is just getting a vacation. And so the experience while they're at the property, if we can give them bigger bang for their buck and the client is happy with that, there's no sense in him paying for us to go backwards if we start the process off on the right foot.
So, all right, so I like what you're saying. One of the things that I do when I'm speaking around the country is talk about the new consumer, how they're seeking more of experiences. They're not really into conspicuous consumption, right? So how are you expressing that through design in the hotel rooms?
Well, I think one major aspect to design is connectivity, and you have the connectivity at the front door, in the lobby. Everybody wants to be seen. They want it's the giant living room. They don't want to be cooped up in their room. When they're in their room, they want to connect. They want their social media, whatever. So it's the Wi-Fi, which has nothing to do with us. However, plugs and adapters and chargeability and stuff like that, incorporating that into the nightstand, into the desk. And then just recently, the experience that comes back to just making your visit easier. I was just recently in a conversation where this woman said to me, please stop taking the mirror away from the desk. That's where I do my makeup. And of course the guests want to be able to, share their room, or if they even by themselves, they go off to the desk, they do their makeup, they work on their laptop, which most of us work in our bed on our laptop. So connectivity everywhere, in upstairs and downstairs in a hotel, and then just the amenities of the ease of your stay, making things less difficult.
And one of the things that I think make things less difficult is having those adequate outlets.
Exactly.
It can't be overstated. I've been in this business now 15 years and been complaining about it since I was a kid.
I think gone are the day or the brand standards of putting a plug in the lamp. That's a nice accoutrement. There needs to be a jack pack that's on the side of the nightstand, because we're all traveling with iPads, iPhones, this, that, and the other, and then video streaming from the nightstand to the TV. It could be a great...
It just amazes me how you can find a plug in a Holiday Inn Express right next to a bed, but can't find a plug on some of these four-star properties that I stay in. That amazes me.
Yeah, it's
every time you stay in the Holiday Inn Express, there's a plug next to the bed.
Absolutely.
Is it that hard? Really?
Apparently, it's way too difficult.
Get me in there. I'll put some plugs. Put some plugs in there.
But I think you're right, and we have what I see as the digital elite now that's rising, and those are classified as people that have 3 or more devices with them.
Yep.
And at first I was like laughing, who does that? Then I realized I have my phone,
Yep.
I have my laptop, I have my iPad. I'm like at 3 already, and I could probably keep counting. Now, imagine if I'm with my family as well.
Forget it.
So, we can't argue about having plugs anymore.
That's the other experience too, is when you travel and you're traveling with a family, is bringing that into the design aspect of, okay, we have a set of chest of drawers, I have 2 kids, I have my husband, all right, we're gonna put them at the bottom. You see where I'm going with this. There's never enough storage space for a family of 4 in a guest room. And granted, they are little, so they stay with us in the same room, and that again eventually graduates to having a connector. But I think just when you make someone's stay more enjoyable because they have the niceties at home, they expect them in the hotel.
Right, yeah, and you're right. And I think, Mark, you'll agree, our quality of life, generally speaking, has risen so much at home that the hotel really has to keep up with it. It used to be the hotel always was a show place and a place of fantasy,
yeah.
right?
Exactly. But now, I'm in hotels more than I'm home. I need everything I have at home in hotels, so it just goes to show you.
Right, and I'm just happy with good room service. Tell me a little bit about what you're thinking now when it comes to preparing for HI Connect Design 2014, which is, of course, April 2nd through 4th at the Gaylord Opryland in Nashville, Tennessee. If you guys want to join us, make sure you go to hiconnectdesign.com to learn all about it. So, when you're planning this room, what are some of the things that you're thinking about?
First, from the very first year and graduating now to the 3rd year, we went at it a little bit differently, and we were assigned a case good vendor and then designed. And if it's appropriate to say that we are huge proponents of an appreciation of the cost that goes into this. And then, of course, I have a question for you as to where the stuff is going to go at the end, because there's so much need, in different cities and stuff like that.
Well, I was just going to steal it all and do a garage sale at my house, but now that you mention it, it's probably a good idea to donate to charity, and we have done that in the past.
You guys are really good about doing that. So as we get assigned to a vendor, we literally go and try to not reinvent the wheel, but you can do great design by, obviously they're successful with their stuff, and then using the creative process to glean from what they already have created. And there are a few things that we are going to create that they are willing to do custom. But it's just, you know, keeping in mind that we have to be good stewards with their resources and the money, and building a guest room that highlights their capabilities as well as our own. So we want them to showcase, they've been speaking to us about showcasing something they would like to showcase, as well as interpreting the design to be cohesive.
Great, and I think one of the great things about HI Connect Design is really finding that inspiration. And I love the team building aspect of it, where you're working with all of these different suppliers to create something that's new, different, exciting, that shows really the potential of what can be done in the hotel industry. Gina, anything else that you want to share with us?
No, I'm just, like you said, I'm a huge team player. I love to mentor, and I love to season the designers young and old, and I just bringing design to an element of it doesn't have to be work. Our office really thrives on the fact that we design as a passion, and we are pretty much big firm talent with a small firm benefit. And that's
Nice.
Joyce's.
That's great.
And I think that about, you know, sums it up all. And you know, I love to incorporate personal life lessons in this. And if you have a passion for something, you're never going to feel like you're working a day in your life. And I think that ideally, that's what we all want, is to have something that we love and be able to express it and have other people appreciate it as well. I want to thank Mark Viola again for being here today.
Thank you, Glenn. Thank you, Gina.
And of course, Gina Joyce of Joyce Design Group will be a featured designer at the upcoming HI Connect Design 2014, doing a luxury guest room. We hope to see you guys there, and thanks for listening.